you're just talking about things, right? And inevitably, the thing that comes up is the dinner debate. Hey, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? Let's ask the girls what they want to eat. Or, you know, like I feel like constantly we're thinking about our food schedule because that's how we're regulated.
Yeah.
And we're always thinking about what the next meal is. What I'm having for breakfast. Oh, I'm thinking about what I'm having for lunch and then what I'm having for dinner. How are we like helping them maneuver through that? And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. The dinner debate is like, okay, we all have to eat dinner.
This is a Daughter Podcast where dads come to talk, think, and thrive with your hosts, Oscar and Blandon. Our mission is to cultivate a community of strong, mindful, and present fathers.
We want to curate honest conversations with all men, but especially those who have the honor of raising daughters.
Hey everyone, this is Oscar here at the Daughter Podcast. Back at it with Blandon over on the other side. Welcome back. Blandon, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man, I am doing outstanding again. It's been a great weekend. So for our viewers and listeners who don't know, I'm currently trying to do some different things. As a guy over 40, you got to kind of change it up every once in a while. You got to change up your routine. You don't want to get stale. So I've kind of embarked on this journey thanks to, I don't want to say thanks to Oscar, but here we go. But thanks to Joey, another friend of mine in Dallas. His name is Lot. He also does jujitsu. But yeah, from Oscar, he gave glowing reviews about doing jujitsu as an alternate way of working out. So I've been doing that. I've endeavored through that. I've made it through 8 classes now, and I'm slightly hooked on it. So I went to a class this morning. Shout out to Gracie Barr Heights in Houston, Texas. They are amazing. They have amazing coaches and professors. So if you are looking for an alternate workout, try jujitsu. It's amazing. I did that this morning, and then I also went to a chiropractor. So trying to loosen everything up, get everything adjusted. So yeah, I feel great, man. I feel amazing. How about you?
I'll get there. Been traveling a little bit.
I think you're a little stressed. Are you a little stressed?
I had just long days at work and finally back at home for a couple of weeks before I travel again. So trying to get back in the groove of all the things. I've been working on getting my cold plunge back up because, as you know, Fuel has the challenge. The challenge for August is a 3-minute cold plunge. So we're working on that. I've been doing the shower cold exposure. It's uncomfortable, but I need to step it up and put my cold plunge back up and get it to temperature. I do, however, live in Louisiana, so it's hard to keep any temperature other than, I don't know, whatever 95 degrees is outside in the water. So I'm buying buku bags of ice to keep that.
Welcome to the Gulf Coast, sir. Welcome to the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, it's
me and you have the same struggle.
It's interesting. So, but in case you haven't done that, that should be your next. In fact, with jiu-jitsu, that's definitely your next goal is to get that cold bath going because those joints and muscles will thank you from jiu-jitsu for sure. But we're going to get into that stuff later on becoming better personally as a father. So I don't want to give those away right now.
Okay.
So
we'll keep those close to the chest.
Today we are going to get into something that I think all of us, I dare to say the word struggle with. All right.
Oh, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
So we all struggle with, and we're going to get into the dinner struggle, the food struggle, really. But dinner tends to be that bigger aspect.
I like to call it the dinner debate.
There's not debating in the house much, but we'll get into that. You were telling me that you're on an experimental diet. You're obviously changing up some of your routines at home, those kinds of things. Yeah. So that brings in the question, like, all right, what are you doing that's maybe different from the girls?
Yeah.
From the household? Yeah. Are you cooking more? Is your wife cooking more? And I start with that because that's similar to what we do out here. So I cook.
Yeah.
When I'm home, most of the cooking in the morning is done by me, and then everything else we divvy up as we go. So what's the dinner debate happening at the Thomas household?
Yeah. So, quite often, I guess you try to be better at making decisions than your parents. But I think inevitably some of the things that your parents were doing were just kind of steadfast. They were good. They were good all by themselves and they didn't need to be changed. So the way I grew up is that my mom cooked the dinner. I ate the dinner. If I did not want to eat said dinner, I only had a couple options, maybe cereal or a sandwich, but she was not preparing me another meal. And so I just kind of learned to go with the flow to eat what she prepared. That is how I learned to like liver and onions because she would cook liver and onions. I just basically either ate what's in front of me or learned not to eat it and move on. But for my girls, and it's probably a millennial parenting, dad, mom kind of situation, we've made the mistake of asking our children what they want to eat. And so that is what brings about the whole dinner debate because sometimes neither one of them want to eat the same thing. They don't want to eat the same thing that we've decided to eat. One of them will become an outlier. And so then sometimes, because my wife does the majority of the cooking, she is making either multiple meals or I'm helping make multiple meals or I'm running out and grabbing something for one girl and something for another. I know most people are like telling me I'm making the cardinal sin of parenting, which is going out and running and getting food. But this is the reality of the Thomas household. I'm sorry, guys. This is just how it goes, sorry, I'm not sorry. But yeah, so that is the whole debate, man. And so we're working through that. We're trying to make better decisions about that. The school year is about to start. I really don't want to put that on my wife to have to make multiple meals and do all the things. And don't get me wrong. I cook for myself mainly because I'm on a different kind of meal plan. But she enjoys cooking. She likes to cook. I don't really enjoy cooking. I can cook though.
That's
I just
questionable.
don't enjoy it. No. Wow.
It's
No,
questionable.
you've literally had my cooking.
That's
You've
what I'm
literally.
saying. It's just, we'll just leave it there.
Wow. And I was just gonna give your tri-tip a praise here, but now I'm not.
That's okay. That's all right.
So that is our debate. We're always talking about what we're gonna eat. When we're coming from places or going to places. Or my youngest daughter also has very severe food allergies, so that is another leading factor to all of this. We found this out unexpectedly on Thanksgiving. We at the age where you begin to challenge your children with different foods, like the pediatrician said, hey, challenge them with peanut butter or eggs. And so we chose eggs first, and then we ended up in the emergency room.
Oh, wait.
Because she is allergic to eggs. The protein in the eggs, she's allergic to it. Also, we found out she's allergic to all tree nuts and dairy. So it's a very serious thing. Although people think we are trying to be, I guess, trendy when we say she can't have dairy or lactose or whatever. And they're, most people are like, it's okay. But no, it's a real allergy. And she just can't have it. So it kind of limits what she can eat. And then by that token, I guess we didn't want to limit what our oldest could eat. So that is kind of what sent us down the hole of preparing different meals for different children, because even a simple sandwich, my youngest would have to have some modifications to the sandwich where my oldest has no modifications.
Yeah, that creates a little bit of a rift there because you want to be fair and maybe say, today is your time to choose what we're going to eat, but then it may not be viable for the other, and then vice versa. Exactly. The other will choose something that the other one doesn't want. So I can see that being a little bit of a struggle. So that's interesting that you go out, because you mentioned your mom she wouldn't have done that. Like, she wouldn't have gone and made a meal for you, a meal for your sister. Like,
never.
You're eating what you're eating, right? Now, there's different times, and we know, we're talking before we hit record, and every parent does this. They want to provide you more than they had. They want to give you a better experience that they had, so on and so forth. But it gets to a point where maybe it's to a fault.
It
right?
is. Yeah.
Now you're driving around to 3 different places because there's 3 different orders coming at the Thomas restaurant kind of thing, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
I'm similar as I grew up. I mean, we really didn't have much. Uh, we always had what we needed. Like my
Yeah.
dad made sure
Yeah.
of that. But
Yeah.
if I ever asked, "Hey, what's for dinner?" It drove him nuts. The only answer I ever got was, "Whatever's in front of you, that's what you're eating."
Mm.
And part of that, as we were talking, was his effort to ensure that we had gratitude for our mother cooking our food. So your mom cooked, so you're gonna eat what she cooked. There was times where she didn't cook; they were both busy or doing whatever, and then we just kind of fended for ourselves, and we got a little nuts with what we ate. But when she cooked, he was not playing that game. No,
Yeah.
she cooked this or she made this. You will eat it. We'll all eat it, and you have no other option. That sticks with me sometimes. Now, a father of 3, in the whole dinner debate. So for us, dinner debate is not really a debate, right? Luckily, we don't have the allergy issue in our household, so that doesn't play a big role. Most of the time, I'll make the girls their food, and again, it's just kind of one meal, whatever my wife wanted, or maybe one of the girls, and then that's what we're eating. And then I, put stuff off to the side for myself. But when we're out, like out and about, it's an issue because someone will get to the restaurant wherever we go upset because they wanted something else. And many times it feels like one of them just wants to be a contrarian, period.
Okay.
Like they may
Okay.
want that, but they just want to go contrary to whatever their sister
Exactly.
chose or whatever even their mom chose because they just don't want to have that. So there's that. Now we're at the restaurant. And just like anybody else at the restaurant, you have a menu. You have things to choose from, right? This is where the debate starts. So not so much at home. At home, hey, this is what's for dinner today. We're eating as a family. Everybody's having it. Even I don't do too many pastas, but even I will sit down with everyone and have a little bit of that because that's what we're having. That's what we're doing. But at the restaurant, everybody wants to start choosing their things. And we went to a restaurant, so got it. Let's just give you the freedom. But then they choose things that we can make at home, but now I'm paying $10 for. And that starts an issue because now they're like, oh, I want some mac and cheese. And bro, it's literally Kraft mac and cheese. It tells you on the menu. And I'm like, no, I didn't come to a restaurant to pay $10 for a bowl of mac and cheese that I can make a pot of at home for $3. It's still expensive, but for $3, make a whole pot. Or a grilled cheese. And I'm like, really? We came to a restaurant and you're getting a grilled cheese. It's not like we came to a grilled cheese restaurant. That's different. They specialize. They're going to make you an awesome grilled cheese. You're getting just 2 pieces of bread with cheese in it. So depending on the mood, I either stop it and I'm like, nope, choose something with, and I'll tell the girls, choose something with real macros in it. You got some protein in there, you got a little bit of fat, you got carbs, and it tastes good. And then there's other times where my wife would just look at me, she'd be like, it's been a long day, just drop it.
Yeah.
And it's an expensive ego downer there because it's, all right, fine, just get what you want, let's just eat. Let's eat in peace. Yeah. So that's a struggle for me because one, growing up, I didn't go to too many restaurants. We went to a restaurant, someone was celebrating something. It was not a normal thing for us to go to a restaurant. We just didn't have the means to do that.
Yeah.
And two, I'm like, you guys are spoiled. So no, we're not doing this. And you and I talked about this before. I just say that like bluntly, but it's not their fault they're spoiled. It's us trying to give them something better and give them more options. So it's really, it is a struggle, the whole dinner food conversation.
Yeah, it is. And so, growing up, we did go to restaurants. We typically went on like a Sunday where my mom or my grandma didn't feel like cooking. And at that time, it was just a couple of different choices. We either went to our favorite Mexican restaurant or like Piccadilly's, right? So that's a buffet. Or, Golden Corral or something like that. So you go into a buffet, you pick it out, you eat it, whatever. My issue when we go to restaurants with the girls is that they want nothing on the menu, right?
Right.
They absolutely, we go to the restaurant, we pick the thing, and then it's like they still want nothing, right? So we're not spending money on them at the restaurant. I wish they would want the grilled cheese. I wish they would eat the mac and cheese at the restaurant, but they're like, no, I don't see anything I want. I don't see anything I want. And then couple of hours later, they're, oh, I'm hungry.
Right.
Oh, and it's like, oh my gosh, we were just at a restaurant where you could have eaten, you
Right.
know. But you know what? You know what the irony is behind all of this? Regardless where we go, you know where they always will eat at?
What's that?
My mother's house.
Ah, there's the trick.
They will always eat at my mom's house.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it's cheap, man. You should be there every day.
They will always eat at my mom's house, which is
Well,
crazy. Whatever she cooks.
There's
They're
one
eating.
thing though that you mentioned. Your girls at least will say, "No, I don't want anything on this menu, so I'm not going to order." That's
Yeah.
not what happens with my girls. Even if they don't want it, they'll buy a meal, they'll order a meal, and I'm like, "Okay, you're going to eat it. Great." 2 bites in, I'm full. I'm like, "Oh boy."
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So that goes in a box, and I'm like, "You're eating this later. Like, I'm not
Eating
buying
this
anything else. When you get hungry, this is what you're having."
Yeah.
And their choice of secondary meal is very, very, very slim. Like it's your leftovers or fruit or something healthy. They don't get the option for snacks because that is one thing. Again, call it my upbringing, but it's like this is a first world problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
It
lived
is.
in the US, but we didn't have the cash to come over to a restaurant and be like, nah, I'm full. Like, you can eat that crap. Like, no matter what that is. There has been times though, just to be fair, there has been times where they'll get their food. They're like, Daddy, this is nasty. I ordered
Okay.
the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And before, when it's that conversation, it still drives me a little nuts, but then I'll go and taste it and be like, yeah, okay, you're good. Like, don't.
You're good.
I'll still probably eat it because I have a problem with just wasting food. But I'm like, all right, yeah, I'll give you that. That fish tastes a little iffy. Like, don't touch it.
Yeah. It's a little questionable.
But now, what's the conversation behind nutrition? So that's a big one in our house, right? So Megan and I do our best to like sit them down and show them what a good meal is. Meaning, you got protein here. We explain throughout the years, like this is what protein does for your body. This is what fats do for your body. This is what carbohydrates do for your body, which really you don't need too many of them, and so on and so forth. And then yet, like in one ear, at the other, I'm getting mac and cheese. That's not healthy. And there's nothing in that bowl that is serving you, anything good. So how is the conversation of nutrition? Because there's two schools of thoughts that I've seen in people. One is, no, you will have, a veggie, a protein and whatever. Or we just got to find something they'll eat. Because there's the kids that they just don't want to eat.
Right. Yeah. And I think at one point in time, like we knew I had relatives who had kids that just wouldn't eat, and so they were just glad that they eat anything.
Right. Yep.
But for us here, it's very divided because my youngest just has to have like a special diet. Like, so there's a lot of things that she just can't have.
Yeah.
And we have to find substitute. Like, so she can't have ice cream, like she just can't have it. So we have to go to like the coconut milk because she can't even have the cashew nut because or almond milk. So it has to be coconut milk, which is, much healthier. So, and, it's not like we want to deprive her of that because she can't even have regular ice cream. Like this is already, she can't even have regular milk. So she has to have plant-based milk. Right. So, So it just seems like a different conversation. But my wife is the anchor on the nutrition conversation. She is constantly like, no, there needs to be some veggies on here.
Yeah.
And I make fun of her because she is the meat and two veggies person. Like
Right.
that is always her. And so even the other night, when I was making my food and then my oldest asked for some and I was like, yeah, I'm giving her this with some fries. And my wife's like, you need to put something green on the plate. Something green needs to be on this plate. So I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, so she definitely, and I told you, she's the one who looks at serving sizes but once again, my youngest really doesn't need that because she's super limited on what she can even have. Like, so, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, she can't really have,
Right.
that's not something. So, we give her a jelly sandwich because she really doesn't eat the bread and the jelly is all she can really have. And
Right.
then she'll have it with some oranges or something like that. But it's a very limiting thing when you have a kid with severe food allergies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's not, I mean, she will eat some protein, but it's like we're grateful when we can piece together a meal that she can really
Sure.
enjoy and eat.
Yeah.
But I mean, my mom even she will modify her recipes that she's had for the past 30, 40 years just so my youngest can eat.
Yeah.
Right. But she always eats there. She always finds something to eat at her granny's house. So we're grateful for that. My oldest, we are, we're still working through that conversation of we're not just snacking a snack, right? And I actually got that from you and so I'm kind of been implementing that. If it's healthy, have as much as you want.
Right.
If it's trash, we're limiting it. And so that's what we've been kind of implementing. So thank you for that. Cause I had heard that before. And so I kind of took that as a arrow in my own quiver. So
I want to make sure to tell the girls like they can't have as much as they want because like my middle girl, she'll have mangoes all day. That'll be her meal all day. Right. And I'm like, well, no. So for us, it's if it's healthy and doesn't have to be unwrapped, it's normally fruit, right? Sometimes they do some carrots. And you don't have to ask me to get it. You just have a serving. Right. You have a serving of this, and then you're good.
What it. You don't have to ask me to get it.
Because there is sometimes where I'm like, no, there's no more mango. I cut up 4 mangoes. She's like, oh yeah, I ate them. I'm like, oh gosh. So, if you don't know anything about mangoes, it cleans you out.
Yeah.
So we talk about the need for self-control and those kinds of things. That's important. But yeah, if it's not in a wrapper and it's healthy, you just go find it and eat it. Right? That's fine.
Yeah.
It still drives me nuts though when it's 5 minutes after dinner because they barely touch their food and they're like, I'm hungry. Well, of course you're hungry. You had nothing to eat. Or worse, they had carbohydrate filled meal.
Right.
So within, their metabolisms are flying. So within 20, 30 minutes, they're hungry.
Right.
So that's an issue. Here's the other thing for us. It seems like my girls many times simply eat because they have to in order to get to the dessert.
Absolutely. Yes.
They start eating, and then as soon as they think they're good, they're like, all right, can I be done? I'm like, no, you cannot be done. I didn't give you a serving enough for a child, let alone what you're eating. But that's what they're doing. Like, why? I want my dessert now.
Yeah.
And we've done this thing now where I think it's habit forming. They have to have dessert after dinner. It's super weird.
Yeah.
Like they just have to. And you'll see them scour the house for some sort of sweet thing to have.
Yeah.
Like fiends. I'm telling you. There's times purposely where I just won't buy desserty type snacks, and they're just like, there's nothing. Can we go to the store? Can we go to Sonic? Can we do them? I'm like, no, what? You don't need any of that. What are you doing?
Right.
No, I already had my meal. I need a dessert. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're like addicts, like walking around the house trying to find something sweet.
Right. And then the other thing is like, the sugary drinks. So this is what drives my wife crazy, right? Because I'm a water person. I drink a lot of water. I don't know how people don't like water. Like,
Yeah.
I need water.
I mean, that's
And she-
scientific. It's scientifically a fact. Yes.
Yeah, yes, that you need water. And I'm like, yeah, I just want water. I don't want a soda. I don't want anything else. I just want water. But the girls, they want the lemonades and the fruit punches and this, that, and the other. And I'm a little lenient on it. I am. And she's like, no. Did they have water? No, you only drank a couple of sips of this water just so you can get to the sugary drink, right? You didn't drink enough water to get anything else. Can I have this? Can I have this soda? And I try to buy the mini sodas, right? I don't get like the big old cans. They sell the minis now. So I try to get those. But even that, they can go overboard on that. Because the other day I went to the fridge, I was like, because I don't even drink them, but I was looking and I was like, you don't have any more? And my wife was like, your daughters ran through them. They ran through them because they were drinking their water. So they wanted a soda after they had their water. And so, yeah. And then also, like I said, they kind of regulate their day by this. And they're like, did we have breakfast? And it's like, yes, you had breakfast. What do you didn't think that yogurt counted as breakfast? Like, that was your breakfast? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they feel like, oh, that was just a snack. That wasn't really no, that was breakfast. Or do we have lunch? And my wife is like, you don't have to have like 3 square meals a day. Like, girl, like, it's all right. You don't have to eat like farm hands around here. Like, you're not doing that much strenuous work.
Right.
That you need those meals like that a day. So
I have the opposite. Funny. They'll have like a snack, like, oh, I had breakfast. No, that's not breakfast. I'm a breakfast person, so like I said, if I'm home, I'm the one making breakfast. Whether it's some type of like protein pancake or I make French toast. My middle girl loves that's her favorite. It's also my wife's favorite, but she tells me not to make them because then she'll eat them. But I make them. I'll sit there and knock them all out. So I was gone last week, but before I left that morning, I made breakfast. And if I'm going to be gone, to ease the breakfast for my wife, for the girls, I'll make like 2 loaves of bread to make French toast. So she'll have like a Ziploc bag full of all these things. So that's probably the only one. It has egg in there, but I mean, I don't know the nutritional value to a piece of French toast. But I try to marry it up with, some eggs and some hash browns and all these different things. But if I'm not doing that, they'll just, I had a little bit of yogurt. I'm like, well, that's not too bad. But then, like you said, within 30 minutes or an hour, they're hungry.
Right.
Wasn't fulfilling. And then they just think that by putting substance in their mouth, that's food. But a lot of the stuff that is out there is not, it's not food.
Right.
And it's funny, we were talking about this, you and I here, and you have your what's for dinner issue, and we have our what's for dinner issue. And so many times I just stop and think, like, man, this is such a first world problem. Like,
it's such a first world problem. We literally say that out loud when we're discussing, hey, what are we having? What are we eating? I'm like, this is such a first world issue.
I mean, the fact that we have this food at our fingertips. You probably heard it. We had pizza delivered to the house. You hear the doorbell and you can have anything delivered to you.
Yeah.
And, I have the fortune of being able to travel to other countries. That is not the case in many, many places. So I try to remind my girls of that. Like, girls, like, you're blessed to have been born where you were born.
Yes.
Living in this country. Like, you have to understand these things, because if you don't, it's very easy to get away from being grateful for what you have and then being wasteful. That's one of you can do all the research out there and show that we are a wasteful society because we have so much. We're an abundant society. So I try to remind the girls of that because, man, it's dire in some of the world, right? Like, they would kill to have a fraction of what we have. So we also, when I started getting real deep into that conversation, I always bring that up. Like, let me show you some pictures. Let me show you some news of X country with, is having issues with food. And I mean, I need them to understand that they are blessed to have what they have.
Right. I'm 100% behind you. I have no argument with what you say. I just want to bring up the point that conversely, I think a lot of bad eating habits are surrounding like having to finish the meal though. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like, if you are overweight or struggle with any kind of food complex, some bad relationship with food, a lot of times these people, their stories have stemmed from like their parents telling them, hey, you got to finish everything on that plate. Finish everything on that plate. Don't waste food, and it's very different from what I think me and you were talking about. Me and you were talking about, hey, get a portion, a healthy portion size, and eat that portion. Right. Not load up your plate and then have to eat all of that.
Right.
That's the difference. So I just wanted to bring that out there. I'm not a proponent of eat until you're bloated at the table. Eat until you can't, your eyes are bulging out, like we're not talking about that. We're talking about get a good serving size, a healthy serving size, and then eat that. Don't waste that food, don't be ungrateful for the food that is in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with you. I don't make them sit there till they're,
I know.
busting out the seams. However, the whole thing is, all right, fine. You don't have to keep eating if you say you're full, but this plate will be in the microwave for you in case you get hungry. Especially when they barely touch the food. Like, every so often, I'll serve.
Don't ask for a dessert. Don't ask for the dessert if you don't finish.
Yep. We look at the food, at the serving, and you know how they say your stomach is as big as your fist. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but my 3-year-old's fists are pretty small. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's look at that. All right. She had a serving of food. We're okay with that. Had 2 bites? Nope. Like, you can be done. We don't force the girls to sit there and just shovel it in.
You're right.
You can be done. You're just not getting that dessert. You didn't earn that dessert. Sorry. The relationship with food can become such a big problem, particularly with girls, that
absolutely
we work to, again, explain how food works, how the body uses it, how important it is to have the right food, to put the right fuel in the machine. We talked before. I got a girl in gymnastics. I got the other girl's dancing, and they'll get done with their whatever their practice, and they'll say, well, let's go to McDonald's or wherever. I'm like, that's not like this. Let's feed your body. Your body just let you do all these things. Let's reward your body with good food. Right.
Right.
And we try to, again, the relationship with food is important. So we try to bring that relationship into a good light. This is why you should have this. This is why you shouldn't have this other stuff. Sodas aren't really a part of the house. We just don't. And it's probably my fault. Actually, it's my fault, but it's just, when I look at the soda, I'm like, there's 0 things in there that are going to help you. Like, there's nothing in it.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. My oldest gets to have a little bit. They'll do like a root beer float. That's a dessert type, right?
Yeah.
But as far as just soda for the sake of having soda, that's just not what we do. And my wife and I don't drink them either. So it's just never accessible in the house. Yeah. But again, just trying to, I know we talked, through this is just a kind of a dinner conversation, but as my girls get older, I have a 12-year-old now, and understanding that food and the relationship that girls particularly have with food can get very, very muddled very easily.
Quickly. Yeah.
We really attempt to, again, create a positive relationship with food. You're right. We base, especially in a first world country, we base kind of our day through food, right? Like, we're going to have breakfast. At this time, I'm going to have lunch, and then activity, and then dinner. And then what are we having for dinner? I mean, we'll have days where that's all we do. It's like, we just talk about the food. All right, we're done. What are we having for lunch? Well, we just finished eating. Like, yeah, but we need to plan ahead, and whatever. So
And think about all our activities, like it's surrounding food. Like you have a breakfast business meeting, right?
yeah,
Or you have a work lunch,
yeah.
or you go out for a brunch birthday party, or you have a dinner party, and or you go out to dinner, or you have a working dinner. Like I'm telling you, when I travel for work, that's when I eat the most. Like
Yeah.
not when I'm at home, but when I'm on business. So yeah, look at all the activities that surround food.
Well, I mean, food is where relationship happens.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it
I
is
agree.
part of that. And that's why we try to do dinner at home. We try to sit down together for dinner. No matter what's going on, trying to get on the table together to sit down because relationships happen through food.
They do. When
Um,
you break bread. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
I'm a huge dinner person though. I'm not a really breakfast person I'm a huge dinner person, but I also am a huge breakfast for dinner person.
Oh yeah,
So
breakfast can happen any time of the day, man. Anytime.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll hear from you guys about your dinner routine and or conversation, maybe some debate. In the meantime, Blandon's got a book back there that I know we want to talk about.
Yeah. So this book is Why a Daughter Needs a Dad, and that's by Greg Lang. And so this book just gives different reasons why a daughter would need her father, wants to be close to him, and it really just solidifies that daddy-daughter relationship. So if you're looking for like a nighttime read, something that can show your daughter why you're important in her life and also illustrate to you the reasons why you are important in her life, I really recommend this book. It's a great book. I was so glad that this book was Why a Daughter Needs a Dad. Like that, just kind of putting the emphasis on the crucial role of fathers in a daughter's life. And through this wonderfully illustrated book, going through telling those stories with different animal figures. So it was great. I definitely recommend this book.
We all can find the link to that book in the show notes. Clicking that link will also support this podcast. It'll go through Amazon and allow you to purchase it through that. Also, you'll find a link through any of the episodes that you have where it says support. If you have the means to do that, we would greatly appreciate your support to continue this forum for dads to come to talk, think, and thrive. We want to continue all these conversations and all this experience to get put into one central location for all you fathers out there raising these beautiful girls. With that said, find us on social media, www.daughterpodcast.com. We have all of our links on there. That's also a great way to support us. Find us on all of your podcasting platforms. Give us a review. I am Oscar here at the Daughter Podcast. Blandon over on the other side. We will see you all next time.